amazing smile.
How you doing all? Welcome home. Welcome back from your weekend. It is SuperMex Nation. I welcome you all back to the show and to the nation. It is Wrap In Monday, and you get to hear the voice and the mind of Mexican America coming live at you. So we've got to wrap in a bit, but it's going to end up being a little bit more of, there was a lot of, you always get the negative, political news at the national level, and you get plenty of all the I don't want to say sexy, wrong, poor term, but the more excitable or extravagant items that might catch your attention, through the weekend. And then the intent is to get to Monday, kind of download for you, bring those all to a head here on the Monday so that you can go into the week prepared for your week of political, social, cultural, et cetera. All right. And I will say that, invariably we end up talking more about the political state of the country than we do just the social, just the cultural. But I am going to begin to flesh those things out, and we're going to be doing a little bit more of that, because I have said here, directly, if you're a true social scientist, you understand that politics and the political life, political science, is an aspect of the larger of what we are, humanity and social. So social should affect the political, and vice versa. But I want you understanding that this larger umbrella, and there's a reason why my boy the other night on Friday with Swainbo, I'm still laughing about it because he told me after we were done with the show, and as I mentioned to you guys when you went off into your weekend, be safe, be mindful of others. He reminded me that I sounded like an old platoon sergeant and first sergeant in a company giving a safety briefing as you head off into the weekend after you've been out in the field for a few months. And it ended up being a kind of a safety briefing. I'm sorry, but it's built in. I never really considered that, but he's right. It is. Because I do care, and I actually give a damn about what goes on, with you guys here, and I want to make sure that you're living healthy, living good, part of the larger, and that's the point, right? Part of the larger social fabric. Okay, let's not, and we don't do that here, and that's why I hope you keep watching, but let's not allow the political to dwarf, engulf, and eradicate the social and the cultural. The political should be a byproduct and an extension of the former. That's what the political should be. And that's, in a way, what I feel my job is, to help you kind of keep grounded there, help keep you mindful of that, and help keep you balanced. And I've definitely said that to you. I'm clear and 100% for anybody new for the first time watching this. If not my regulars, thank you guys always for being here. But if I'm not understanding to you, it's quite simply this. I do have my opinions on certain things that are a little more to the left, and I have some things that are a little more to the right. But ultimately, and again, invariably, what I end up doing is trying to find a way somewhere in that center, left, center, middle, right, to get you to understand that the majority of America, now let's be 100% clear, the majority of this country and the people in it existing are far more alike than you are with the extremes of your parties and your ideologies. And you can quote me on that, because that's a reality and that's a fact. Fact check it if you'd like, but that's the truth. Most people have regular jobs. Most people go 9 to 5. Most people have health care bills to pay for. Most people have to worry about sending their kids or grandkids to a good school. Most people worry about prescription drugs, pre-existing conditions. I can go on and on. You, ladies and gentlemen, are the majority of America. Whether you're to the left or to the right, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you are the majority of America. And then it's about what those two ideologies and parties and other things do to pull you apart from each other. That quite literally puts us in the state in which we are today, status quo, the state in which. That is where we are. And it's my job, at least I feel so now, and I believe after having experimented, expounded, and gotten to this point, field tested, and applied theory, I quite literally believe that that is my role for you and what we need to do going forward. Let's keep ourselves grounded. Let's keep ourselves focused on some commonality as opposed to diametrically opposed hard views. I do feel it's that. And maybe I won't talk about politics all the damn time. Maybe I'll talk about some other things. But it's always going to be something that I believe moves us closer together as a country than further away from each other. Because as I'm on record saying, we have far more dangerous enemies outside our borders than we have in. Okay, we have our own issues in-house, but we should fix in-house our own problems so that we make sure that nobody outside of our house comes in and knocks the door down and takes us out. That's how I feel about it. Okay, so we're going to wrap in from the weekend into Monday. So what we're going to prepare tonight is we're going to do a little bit of local with my homeboy that is probably going to keep me a little more grounded. There we go. Everybody gets grounded somewhere. Everybody gets grounded in this case for what we're doing here, for news that, in essence are political or social, cultural, but that affect us and that go from more the local to the state, if not back to national. Because I'm quite literally grounded on the two opposite ends. It's not that I don't care about what happens in the middle. I'm going to outsource that information gathering and expertise to others that are spending more time on it and putting their minds on it, so I can put my minds, quite literally minds, in other places. And what you do is that's building a unit, ladies and gentlemen. It's a unit, okay? Get people to do good things in areas that maybe you're not, and then you bring them all together, put them in one location, and now you have a team, you have a unit, you have an organization, you have a squad, you have a platoon, you have a company, you have a battalion, you have a brigade, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have an army. There you go, SuperMex Nation Army. So we're going to do that tonight with Brother Miller. And before we get into that, we're going to talk, like I said, local, and then we're going to talk about, and I don't know if I had said this to him before, but there's always a level of, again, we don't do like hard prep. I don't want a scripted entirely show. There are some things we talk about that we want, but I do like the fact that some of this is entirely free-flowing from two good minds, three good minds, depending on how many we have on the panel for an evening, but people giving honest, straight assessments. Nothing canned, nothing prepared, real. There you go, real with a capital R. Okay, this is real, coming at you, unfiltered, unfettered, and definitely not canned and prepared for best effect. That's quite literally why people today are not in a good place with the average politician, because the average politician feels they have to give you the proper answer. I'd rather you tell me the damn truth, whether it's good or bad. Just be real and tell me the damn truth. Okay, so we're going to get to that, and we're going to talk about presidential politics a little bit, and this is what I was kind of throwing Brother Miller for a loop, but we didn't quite finish off what we started last week. We were talking about presidential campaign on the Democratic side. It's easy on the Republican side, obviously, although we might touch that because there might be a challenge to the president. But we will talk about the Democratic side. We weren't entirely done with that, and I kind of want to flesh that out because wrapping in off the weekend, we do have the first presidential debate on Wednesday, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, it's Wednesday, Thursday. So that's coming up, and I want to prepare you in advance. I know that if you're Republican, you're probably not going to watch, but here's a nice crisp one for you. Maybe you should. If not to sharpen your own arguments counter, I will tell you this. There are some serious issues and topics being discussed on the Democratic side right now that you don't hear at all on the Republican side because there's no competition. And all my Republican friends like to tell me about competition is good, right? See how I did that to you? And then I'm going to finish up tonight with I'm going to pull something out of our SuperMex Nation forum, something that I saw this weekend that I really, really loved. Somebody got it. More important than that, somebody got what I was trying to get across, but they actually expressed it. And that was serious and very enlightening for me because now we're talking. Now we're talking, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so before we get started, I got some business to finish up from the Friday. All right, so here you go. Tag that track Friday. White Boys with Soul. You weren't here for that. All right, we got White Boys with Soul. All right, white boys with soul.
You just taking names or?
No. We had so on Tag That Track we do
Wild Cherry.
You remember them, right? I do. So what we do is so when we get to the Friday,
okay,
I give the guys a theme. My son was with me, Swainbo, you know Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Swainbo was with me because we talk education for the most part on the Friday nights. Okay. And so we did. I was getting it. My boy and I were drinking the other night. He's getting ready to go back to school, and so we're trying to spend some time together. He ends up spending more time with all the women in my life. He spends time with my wife. He spends time with my daughter who just graduated.
Smart guy.
And he spends time with his future.
Smart guy.
3 women, and Daddy ain't getting no attention. Look at that, Daddy issues, right? Daddy issues.
And
the
it was
other
Father's Day weekend, right?
Well, okay, so he did.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know about you, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But the Father's Day for me, might as well talk about it now. So the Father's Day for me, I don't know about you, but we'll get to that. Father's Day for me is I don't need anything. I'm happy. I really do. I feel good about my place in life. I mean, I think I told you, I lost my dad when I was a little boy. And I have quite literally looked at the fact that I have raised a son and a daughter into adulthood. And that is 10, 15 years more than my dad got. So I'm thankful. And I don't want to cheese it up, but I think you get my point.
Right.
I'm extremely thankful just to be alive and having my kids with me. So I don't ask them for anything. They don't have to do anything. My wife goes, she does things like she makes me a dinner that I would prefer, which is cool. And I've told her, don't spend money. I don't need anything. I'm good. But there is kind of an unwritten rule, and we kind of fleshed that out this weekend. Dad, you say you don't want anything, but we all kind of know that on the day, you do kind of want us all in location. Meaning with me.
That's a want. That's a request.
So I don't want anything monetary. I want my people with me. I want my kids and I want my wife with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we watched a couple movies. I played games, drank a few beers. It was a great Father's Day. That was a good Father's Day for me because I'm appreciating the fact that my dad never got all that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do?
I'm blessed, man. My parents have been with me my whole life. They're married.
You still got both?
Oh, yeah, both of them.
Oh, I'm talking Jesus.
Their health is failing them a little bit now, but they've been married now for 55 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, I have a true blessing.
That's
the two of them.
That's a rarity. 55 years of marriage?
They don't request very much, but they are presence people. So my mom is battling lung disease right now, and so she's not able to get out like she would before. So I went to church. My dad's a minister, so I went to church. That's basically his request, is that we come by, the church house at least a couple times a year. I'm there usually on a regular basis.
So did he give a sermon on Father's Day?
Actually, he did. Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't a true sermon. It was more of his reflections.
What's the best term?
His situation is like yours. My grandfather passed when he was 11. So he went through all of his teenage years. He's always talked about this, how he was very, very, very resentful of God. Because he couldn't understand as a young teenager how God took his dad from my grandmother to raise 4 kids. These are people who are hardworking. My grandfather's a veteran. Was a veteran of the Navy, but he died of testicular cancer when he was 44, I believe it was 44, 45, something like that, mid 40s. My dad was 11.
Okay, we have a lot of. I'll stop you there. We have a lot of similarity then, because my pop died at 30. My mom raised 3, then 4 kids. And I'm stopping you because you said that word, and I'm like, resentment.
Oh yeah, my dad was very resentful.
You said resentment, and it stung me and dug me deep for at least until I was in the Army, and then it changed. And I needed a couple good father figures: Sergeant Kutcher, Sergeant Worrell, Captain Murphy, Sergeant Coleman, Lieutenant Colonel Honore. I know those exactly right. They were father figures to me, but I had leftover not good feeling. And I won't say for the big man upstairs directly I was angry at God for.
My dad will tell you.
Okay, but it
my dad will tell you he was angry with God for taking this father.
You can't understand,
he didn't
why?
He didn't come back to the church until he was in his 40s.
Wow.
So he was away from the church from about 11 or 12, 13 years old until in his 40s. And now he's been a senior pastor at one of the churches, been in the ministry now for about 25 years.
So I understand that entirely. So that was your pop. So he grew up in that. So I'm going to guess, because he probably did what I'm doing now. being very, very mindful of what you do get, what you do have in terms of family.
Yeah. He's the oldest male in the Miller strand of all of the male cousins. He's the oldest. He got that mantle about 4 or 5 years ago when another cousin passed away. So he carries that very, very proudly.
Yeah.
That he is the patriarch of not only just the Miller family that's here in Fresno, but of the Miller family that from
extended.
Yeah, from Pacific to Atlantic Ocean, and so he carries that very bigly. But he's, he's losing his sight now. He's had a couple strokes and heart attacks, so he's not able to get around.
So you go kick back with him? You did.
I went to church. I went to church. I saw him. My mom didn't make it to church. She wasn't feeling well, and so immediately after church, I went over to the house. Saw my mom. By the time I was getting ready to get out of there, when my dad got home, we kind of talked and laughed and joked. But what I did Father's Day is, I got this dissertation I got to get done. And I went and wrote. I went and hung out at my favorite place, Panera Bread, and wrote for about 3 hours or so.
Do you got to get out to do that?
I do. I got to get away from home.
I get that. I mean, it does. There's like the difference of it forces you to.
The bad part about it is and it's a public space, but I'm in there trying to do my thing because writing's not my forte. I mean, this thing has been on the shelf now almost 2 years. Because I just can't get into it. The political stuff.
I get it.
I got on a roll last night, and then these three young ladies showed up, and it was a giggle fest for about 30 minutes. So I had to try to drown them out. That didn't work, so I wound up, pulling the plug after about 3 hours. About 8:30 last night, I wound up going home and tried to get some stuff done there, but then I got the TV distraction.
Are you out of school now?
I am. My last day was Friday. But that's.
So what are your obligations day to day other than like dissertation?
Well, I had to go back to work this morning and send a group of kids. I have a group of kids that are going. They're at UC Merced right now for a week camp that's there. So I had to go get them.
So you are still busy through the summer with the group?
No. What I did is I went to work today. I got them off. They're at UC Merced right now. So I got them out of here. Wait a
minute. What's your duty?
I don't have any duties. This is just.
No. I mean, like.
I'm a counselor.
Right. But is it like the 180
I'm
duty day?
Yeah, I'm 198 days.
Okay, so
I'm done though.
Not like admin though, where you have to be 2 something.
No, I'm 198.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm done though. My last day was Friday. So I saw them off today. I'll go down there to UC Merced. I think it's on Wednesday afternoon. I'm trying to get away to go down there just to kind of check in with them. And then I'll receive them when they come back on Friday. I'll go meet them in Madera to get them received back. Because we send them on a bus. Bus dropped them off. They're there with the UC Merced staff. I got 14 kids down there. So it's a good thing. And it's an African-American leadership summer camp that we had 25 slots. I was only able to get 9 African-Americans, I think it was, or 8 African-Americans. So I opened it up to
what age group?
Middle school, 7th, 8th grade, so 12 to 14. And so I opened it up to some other students.
You got 3 middle schools, right?
Yeah.
Desmond, TJ, don't stop. Desmond, TJ, and MLK.
Right, MLK.
Good.
Those are the 3 schools.
This is my Madera credibility, Coyotes.
And we got 70 African-American kids. I think it was 70, right at 70 African-American kids were identified. I sent out information to them. Only 8 or 9 of them responded. So I opened it up to non-African-American kids and was able to get another 5. So it was 8 and 6. So I got a little Caucasian girl that's up there. Got 3 little Hispanic boys that are going up there. It's a great opportunity. And they understand that and I explained to the parents that, yes, it's Afrocentric, African-American centric, but it's a UC campus.
And centric in what sense? That the majority of kids are?
They're gonna, yeah. The program is identified.
Is it mostly African American kids, or is it centric in the sense that you're teaching mostly like
both, but
like an African American history?
It's not exclusive. Okay. It's the flavoring of what they're doing.
So if I wanted to go, if I were a little kid, I can learn about some African American.
They're going tomorrow morning. They're getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're gonna eat breakfast and get on a bus. They're gonna go up to Yosemite.
Did you ever take? I'm sidebar here, but did you ever take anything like in college that was like Chicano Latino studies or stuff like that?
I did. I know I didn't take, I took women's studies.
Okay.
I took women's studies. I don't think I had any Chicano studies.
Because you only have to do like 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, so I had a ton of African American study classes.
Or women's studies class.
Women's studies class. I think that was it. I don't believe I took any Chicano.
I did a women's studies class. Dr. Simba.
Right, Malik Simba. Right.
I had Malik Simba.
Right.
And I'll never forget him. I liked his class. I can't
And he
remember
did a
what
women's studies class?
No.
Oh,
No. I said I did a women's studies
I got you.
class.
I got you.
And then I did his class because it was, I can't remember what the title was. It was an African American culture or some, whatever it was more than I needed to do.
Did you ever have Dr. Rogers?
No.
So he may have passed by the time you got there.
It may not have, I already had met what I needed in requirement for my degree to get, ethnic or women's studies things. But I wanted to take it because I wanted, I want to learn more. Right?
It's a different perspective.
Right, I want to learn more. And so and I haven't seen Dr. Sim in a long time. I do know he lives on our side of town though. I know he's over there.
He's still around. I don't think he's teaching any longer.
I don't think he's teaching anymore.
I think his wife who worked at the university also retired.
But
you'll see him around.
Good sidebar, and I'd like to see him again. I really enjoyed his class.
He's around and pretty active.
Yeah. So here's the thing. He what I learned from him. He was really in law, legal, and he gave me a different perspective. And I wasn't a brand new bright-eyed bushy-tailed kid out of high school. I was a vet. I was back. So it's not like I was a rookie about things, but he gave me a different perspective on history because that's what my strength was, my department, my major. He gave me a different perspective on history. He was really in love with legal history, the legal component to history, because his argument was, and a legitimate one, by the way, his argument was that the law codified in record, go back to Hammurabi, right, 1800 BCE.
You know what that's called, right?
What?
Critical race theory.
Critical race theory?
Yep, CRT.
Okay. So I was really interested in his perspective on his approach to history, but I threw him for a loop, and if I ever get a chance to talk to him again, we'll probably have this discussion again. But I threw him for a loop because his rationale was that he was more interested in history that is more current as opposed to the past, because his argument was that it was more inflexible. Like once that past was done, it was kind of set, and this is what we've got. But history, from a legal perspective, is it's difficult and always changing and critical in concept. But here's where it goes. We brought up Black Athena, Martin Bernal. It's a book.
Not familiar
And
with
basically, it was about. I'll give you the gist of it. It was not too terribly complicated, but when Bernal, this was decades ago, when Bernal wrote this book, it was the perspective of Athena, being the Greek goddess of wisdom, from the perspective that she was actually morphed or brought from Middle Eastern culture, African culture from Egypt. And that influenced Greek culture, Greco-Roman culture, and then everything that came after it. And he's correct, it did.
You're right.
So it was a good look, but I had told him that with the constant advances in technologies and our ability to learn more, I mean, right now they're doing things in the Mesoamerican jungles that we had no clue about. They're finding even more archaeologically. And that is changing. So my thing was like, it seems like everything in the past is set, right? But it really isn't, because if one thing changes, the ripple effect is millennia deep. It's really, really deep, and it alters everything. So anyway, I had a really long, good discussion with him, and I have a massive respect for him. That was the only, I would say, Afrocentric or African American cultural, if not ethnic study thing that I did. But he was good for me with the way he did it.
I want to say he was a history major.
He is.
If I'm not mistaken.
He was. That's what I'm saying. It was in my department.
Degree is in history.
Okay, it was in my department, which was history, and that's probably why I had him. But it was a different perspective. There weren't a lot of African American, there weren't a lot of brother professors at Fresno State when I was taking.
And most of them were in ethnic studies.
You know what's crazy? Oh boy, I'm really going sidebar here. My all-time favorite instructor at the collegiate level was actually from Fresno City. His name was Dr. Joseph Moore. Joe Moore. He's been around. He passed.
Okay.
He was the head of the Fresno City History Department for a long, long time. He, more than any other history teacher, I don't think there were any Mexican or Hispanic history professors at the time. He influenced my direction of history and my perspective on society, Dr. Joe Moore. He was from the South, deep South. He came here. He was the first, I think, department chair, the first person to have a doctorate. This was like back in the 60s when he first got here.
I'm surprised I don't know that name.
Dr. Joseph Moore.
I'll ask about him.
Go ask around. There's no way you won't get back to him, because he was, I'm going to say it on air, he was a badass.
And you said he's deceased now.
Oh, yeah. He passed a while ago.
So here's one of the
Let me tell you why I really love him. He said I was an historical genius. He said I had the ability to see things that like 99% of his history students did not. He goes, young man, it's about application. Meaning he was telling me that I have the ability to see history, but then to apply it today, like on the spot. So I loved him. I loved him. Go ahead.
Here's one of the things that's interesting for me, and people tell me I need to stop saying this, but I'm not going to stop saying it, is that how everybody's doing all these DNA tests? So I did the...
you done one?
Oh, yeah, I did one.
I got to do one.
It's the African-American, and I can't remember what it's called now, but it's the African-American genealogy test. And my mom and I took it at the same time. So my mom's roots come out of West Africa. I forget what it's the Cameroon.
That's more north and west.
It's
isn't
the
it?
golden.
Gold Coast.
If you pitch, it's the Gold
You're
Coast.
talking about the Gold Coast.
If you picture the kind of the hump that's on Africa, it would be kind of in that area that's in.
Okay, that's the area that got raped the hardest.
Correct.
Okay.
You know what my DNA says?
And I mean raped not just physically, but like culturally, everything.
Guess what my DNA says? Where my origins are?
Shoot me.
Portugal and Spain.
Okay.
So you see that look on your face? That's what I get from everybody. And it's real funny to me, and this is why I keep saying it. My African American people, when I tell them that, it's like, well, what are you trying to say? You're trying to separate from your African roots? I'm like, no.
No, it's all intermingled.
This is what it says.
Yeah.
And what you got to do is you got to understand that Portugal and Spain was under the Moors, basically leadership. It was part of their kingdom.
Yes, the northern
for
Muslim.
500 years, I want to say.
The northern Muslim, and I'd say
Italy,
North African Muslims.
Right.
Okay, were up until 1492, and it wasn't the date of Columbus sailing. Okay, it was the date of Reconquista, which was Ferdinand and Isabella when they basically launched their campaign to move the Moors out.
So the Moors were before them, correct?
The Moors are yes. The Moors are before the Moor. I mean, the Moor name Moor was like generically used for anybody that was black or darker of skin that was into Europe. So if you watch, if you read something like
I got to do some more research.
Othello, Shakespeare.
Othello.
Okay.
Othello.
I say Othello because I'm trying to be like
I got
learned.
You, yeah.
I'm trying to be learned, right? I'm trying to be learned.
Othello.
I'm exercising my learning. So if you read that, then it's about Desdemona, the Moor.
Right.
Okay, the Moor was anybody that was black or darker of skin that was not of that particular European country. So the Moors were all there. I can go back to 700 and some when Roland, Charlemagne's cousin and principal general, fought off let's say the Islamic or the Muslim invasion of Europe. They already had conquered all of Spain. I mean, all of Spain.
Right. Spain,
and they were
Portugal.
deep into
like
France.
I said, they were up into France. They were over
they
to
were deep
Italy,
into France. So over time, they kicked them back. So there's a whole crossover period there.
Well, I'm in the middle of it. I got to know what the connection is.
You could technically be descended from French, Spanish, and Portuguese and be black, or vice versa.
Me.
Or vice versa.
So
I'm gonna have to do one.
So going back, the reason why I brought that up is going back to this trip that I sent these kids on today. That's why it's important for me, that although something is Afrocentric, something is Hispanic cultural enrichment, I think it's necessary for us to be able to send kids of different ethnicities to these events.
It's education.
Right. I had there's an event at Clovis North at the middle school there where we took 20 kids, African American Leadership Conference. Half of the kids, I had 20 kids from Desmond. I want to say 12 of them were MARTINEZ that I took with me. They're part of a club that I've got.
Latinx.
Well, Latinx, there you go. Latina. They were young.
They were messing with you.
There was no male. There was all female. But I took them to that,
Latino.
and their original questions were, Mr. Miller, why are you taking me? This is a black thing. I'm like, you're going because you need to understand our history. You need to understand. And when they got there, they were all into it. There was a bunch of speakers, and they were able to, they understood it had nothing to do with ethnicity.
Right.
All it had to do was that this person that happens to be a CHP officer of African American descent, doesn't matter. They have the right information. This person is a doctor. This person's a lawyer. This person, there's a gentleman there who's played with the Globetrotters. He's a science teacher now, and so it didn't matter. And so that's what I'm trying to do every time I get an opportunity is to blend those. Everybody should be proud of who they are. They should be proud of their heritage, but they shouldn't be proud of their heritage at the exclusion of someone else's heritage.
Correct.
And that's what I'm just committed to.
That's not America.
Right.
I'll say it. That's not America. So we've digressed entirely.
No, that's not digression. I think that's great.
But from where we were,
where we're getting ready to go back to.
Not in the bad. But here's why I was going to say that. From where we were. I got to get the songs out. I got to get the songs out.
Sorry,
No, that's what I mean by digression. But here's a thought, and I love doing this. So Brother Crow's always said, you always put me on the spot, but it's an easy spot to be in. I usually do. You figured out my method, right? I'll say something like, and then you're like, well, I'll agree with that anyway. But it's kind of like this. I really do feel, because I think I want to do that too, the ancestry thing, right? You know, the DNA testing. I have a feeling that I'll be really, really SuperMex Universal, if not SuperMex International. You like that? I'll be SuperMex International. No, I'm pretty certain that I have probably roots from all over the damn planet.
What if your roots is not from Mexico?
Well, I know my roots are.
How do you know
I just
that?
don't know to what degree.
So your grandparents?
My grandparents, my great-grandparents immigrated from Mexico City a long time ago.
So
At least on my dad's side. Just on my dad's side.
Mexico City is inland, so then yeah, you could be true. There's a lot of folks that come from
I could tell you directly.
from the
I do.
coastline
Yeah,
that
I know.
have more
I do
Chinese
know that.
on the West Coast. They have
Correct,
a lot of Chinese in their heritage, and then on the East Coast they have all kind of stuff. There's
I
African
do know.
heritage.
I do know that, and Mexican is, you know, it's a much more amorphous term. AMOR, DHOUS. Okay, it means a lot more than most people really understand. That's why I use it in the larger context, right? I say everybody's part of what I'm doing, right? I'm SuperMex International, but my point being is that I do believe that if I do that, if I get an ancestry test, I'm going to be all over the place. I have a feeling. So what I was going to say to you was, and I'm pushing you, but I'm going to push you right back to me, that I have a general feeling, a general sneaking SuperMex crystal ball feeling that if everybody did a DNA test, we wouldn't have as much garbage racism as we do. I'm deadly serious. It wouldn't be as bad.
Did you ever see the Dave Chappelle episode where he had this super racist guy on there? It was and Dave Chappelle was playing the character, and he was the number one racist in the whole country. He was doing all these speeches.
He had a title?
Yeah, well,
Damn.
And he had the Klan robe on and all that kind of stuff, and he wore gloves. You know why he did all that? Because he was black. It was Dave Chappelle playing this, and nobody knew it. They had all the followers and stuff. And yeah,
That's dirty.
Yeah, I wish I could think of what the guy's name was, but he was. White power. That was his whole saying. Yeah. White power. Everything was white power.
I do believe, like I said, and I've said this on air because we use the term, we use these things, I mean, so ignorantly sometimes. I don't like saying somebody's white. Like, I'm joking right now because I can get to the songs, but white boys with soul. What the hell does that mean, right?
Wild
like
Cherry,
yeah, okay. So
Doobie Brothers,
I do believe
Power and Power.
Yeah, I do believe that if everybody got an ancestry DNA test, you're gonna look there and it's like, okay. I think I'm a little bit of everything, so maybe I won't be as bad to that group as I was before.
You would hope. You would hope.
No, okay, you're right. I would hope. I would say so, but I'm going to tell you why. Because it's a percentage. It's never black or white, pun intended. It's never black or white, like meaning like a stark contrast, a big difference. It's not one or the other. It really isn't. It's not a binary choice of the two. What it is by percentages.
Right.
There would be somebody that sees an ancestor DNA test and maybe they're like really, really like grounded in neo-Nazi mentality, and they see, oh, I'm part Mayan Oaxacan from Guatemala.
Okay, Jewish.
They'd go,
they got Jewish
or that too. Okay, so they'd go ballistic and like just deny it. There are those types of people. Okay, but then there are other people that consider themselves white that would see that.
Wasn't that part of what Hitler's issue was also, that his mom or someone did have some Jewish
in his deep background, he was not 100% purely
Aryan.
German.
Yeah, Aryan. He was not.
So I mean, my thing is like, I'm going to say it. If all of us knew that, then it would be a percentage that would be less likely to be racist or neo-Nazi. I mean that, and I mean talking from a historical perspective. Once you find that out, for instance, the Reconquista in Spain, you brought that up, so I'm going to run with it. In Spain at the time, they didn't just move out Moors and black Muslims or light-skinned Muslims from Spain. They eradicated Jewish population. And they went, there are some really good movies on that period in Spanish history.
I'll be looking at
that go into, and they went like family trees. And if they found Jewish in your background, because the Jews were in Spain for a long time, and if they found that, man, But
the Jews were kind of all over, wasn't it?
They were all over Europe, okay? But
quote unquote, as kind of a gypsy type
diaspora.
of
Diaspora.
What is it called?
Diaspora. Diaspora.
Okay.
It meant the Jewish immigration to all parts of the world from the original. But my point is that there were, in all these, I mean, they expelled Jews from England, they expelled Jews from Spain. That one was really hard because they would burn people. Torquemada on the stake. I mean, I can go on and on. It's an entire history lesson.
And this would have been what, you said the 1400s?
In the late 1400s. Well, okay, so the expulsion of the Moors from Spain was not just the Moors. It was also Jewish people. And anything that they didn't feel was pure Spanish from the Visigothics going back plenty of time. All right, so we've digressed an entire half show here.
Great history.
But it ends up being, you gotta be careful. Don't get me started on my history lesson because I'll be here all night. Okay, so here we go. This is for Tag That Track. Tag That Track on Friday. These are, notice they white boys, right? I think I told Swainbo and my son, non-black or brother, sister, non-black brother, sister with soul. White folk with soul.
I just gave you some.
I know. Well, let's see if you match up. I see you haven't seen this, so I'll tell you. So there's 3 of us that were on the panel on Friday. So here were the songs. Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes. That was my boy. I love the Black Crowes.
I'm not familiar with that.
You got to listen to the Black Crowes.
Okay. All right.
Shake Your Moneymaker. That one album?
Shake Your Moneymaker.
Okay, Shake Your Moneymaker is one of my favorite albums all time. All time.
That was a song, right?
Shake Your Moneymaker?
Yeah. Somebody made a song called Shake Your Moneymaker. I've heard that.
There's plenty to shake. There's plenty to shake. Okay, so Shake Your Moneymaker, one of my favorite albums all time. Black Crowes, phenomenal.
Okay.
You want some good, soul, blues. Ooh, deep in blues. Oh man, I could listen to that album all day, all the time, nonstop.
I got it.
So Shake Your Money, or the album was Shake Your Money, but the song Hard to Handle, great tune. Okay, Black Crowes. Never Tear Us Apart by In Excess, Australians. That whole album, before the guy killed himself, that whole album was great. Kick, everybody knows that one because that's when they really launched commercially, on another level. But that kid had soul. That kid had a deep, you could just feel it coming out from you, right? Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton. Now that's technically more a country song and it's more current.
That's only current because of his remake, right? He's not the original writer of that, is he?
I think you're right. Okay, but this one came out. Chris Stapleton put this out 2-3 years ago.
There's like 3 or 4 different versions.
So it's interesting because here's the interest. Here's the interesting.
Tennessee whiskey. Bourbon is the best.
It's supposed to be country.
It is.
But the way he sings it, it's like, man, that's some juke joint in Louisiana somewhere. It's just deep, man.
But some of those other versions that I've heard of that song just recently runs the gamut. They're not all got the country.
You are correct because it's a great lyric.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a great lyric. And even if you really listen to this one by Stapleton, it's not like it's. If people understand, there's a supercharged twang to your country. This one isn't that. This is more of a blues, and you're probably figuring out like I'm a sucker for the blues. I always have been, and especially with my time in the South. I was actually stationed in Louisiana for a while. And let's just say I had some good evenings on the weekends with my Louisiana brothers and sisters, and Georgia. So I was in Louisiana, Georgia. All right, so Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey. All right, and then so my homeboy Swainbo, we all went 3 different directions with this. My boy and I can go to the same direction because we listen to everything. We're kind of, for obvious reasons. But here's where Swainbo went. Joe Cocker, You Are So Beautiful. Just straight. Clean, beautiful voice, grounded in some blues. Yeah, classic, right? So You Are So Beautiful by Joe Cocker. Low Down by Boz Scaggs. He brought in some Boz Scaggs. I was like, this Swainbo, man.
Yeah, 70s, 80s.
I was like, you dirty ninja.
Yeah, okay.
So Boz Scaggs. But here's the thing. This thought initiated out of what I was listening to with my son last week. During the week, we were listening to old 70s blue-eyed soul. 70s into the early 80s.
You guys are going soul, though. I'm thinking more along, when you said funk earlier, I'm thinking
I didn't say funk.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I was
thinking funk.
Maybe that's why I was going Wild Cherry.
Then it changes, right? But you see what my point is, though? It's harder to crystallize. If you said blue-eyed soul, then you're talking about a white boy with blue eyes. And because there are those, right?
Gotcha.
And so that's where it originated from. And then I didn't give like Swainbo directive, like just make it, as I said, white boys with soul. And so this is where he went. Joe Cocker, Bob Scaggs, Bobby Caldwell. What you won't do for love, is a badass song. Right. Which is a badass song.
I got one for you too. It's
okay. Hold on. So this is what I told Swainbo. I was like, I know which direction you're going, dirtball. You're trying to get to the women. So it was You Are So Beautiful, Joe Cocker, Boz Scaggs, Low Down, What You Won't Do for Love, Bobby Caldwell. I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing? You're trying to pander to the women on our show? Good job, by the way. Good job, Swaybo. Because I told him, if anybody wins tonight, because we don't do winners, right? I was like, you won tonight, man. That was good. He made me feel guilty. I'm like, damn, that was really good. But so he went a different direction, but Bobby Caldwell, Boz Scaggs, Joe Cocker.
Okay.
Good stuff. Okay, and then these were mine, 3, and then we finished off with a 1. What a Fool Believes, Doobie Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Michael McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Michael McDonald's the quintessential blue-eyed soul. That deep, oh man, that's some good stuff. So the other one that I really dig on, the other group, Hall & Oates. There's so many good songs that they did. I mean, you could just pick up their greatest and you can listen to that all day. I mean, there's so many good songs. So I did Man-Eater because I really like the hook. Oh man, I love that. And by the way, I got busted on Facebook because I had to hear the first line, and that intro is so long. The intro's too long. It's like 40, 50 seconds. You got to cut off at like 30 seconds for Facebook not to mute you.
You got to check out Daryl Hall, and he's a rapper. Can't Go For That. What's that song? Hall & Oates.
I Can't Go For That. That's a
I
song.
Can't Go For That, right?
Yeah.
So they did a remake of it. It's
No
on
Can
YouTube.
Do. I heard you, KP.
Oh,
I heard you, KP. No Can
check
Do.
that out.
And it's a rap song?
No. He, what is his name? Short guy, kind of a squealy voice, pudgy. I can't think of it. CeeLo, CeeLo Green.
Oh, he did that?
You got to check that out, man. It's kind of like it's like it's in his in the back, kind of like a porch area, but it's enclosed. Oh man, they tear that up.
Okay,
they tear
I'll
up.
do that. I'll do that.
Daryl Hall.
I do love CeeLo Green.
CeeLo Green.
CeeLo Green doesn't get enough appreciation. That dude is a genius.
Yeah,
that guy is
You
unique.
got to check that out.
He is a unique critter. So I did Man-Eater because I really love the hook. I mean, I could sing Sarah Smile, Rich Girl. I love all of that. It's just really great. And he, again, quintessential blue-eyed soul. I mean, that was a Hall & Oates. And they made a hell of a career out of those 70s into the early 80s. And that was kind of the window that we were operating when we started thinking about the concept of this.
Hall is remaking this.
Okay, so here's another one I threw out. KP, do you know the movie that I was talking about last week?
Yes.
What was it?
That's oh my gosh, it's
Eddie and the Cruisers.
Eddie the Cruiser.
All right, so it was Eddie and the Cruisers. It was a movie.
Cruisers.
The song was On the Dark Side by John Cafferty, the Beaver Brown Band.
Okay.
All right,
I remember them.
so
I
that
remember
they
song,
did
but
a
I remember
movie.
them.
They did a movie, and didn't get like it wasn't a major box office thing. It was a great movie. It was about music, and it was about New Jersey and growing, building as a band and putting. Watch this, words and music, and how that in and of itself, by itself, is an art. Words and music. Any fool can go out. What a fool believes. Any fool believes you can write. And you can have somebody that's an instrumentalist and create music. But can you do both of those adequately? That combination is what creates great art in music, words and music. So Eddie and the Cruisers was the movie. A young Tom Berenger, Michael Pare, and a couple others that ended up doing more later, but those are the two main stars. And then there was an Eddie and the Cruisers 2 that was pretty good. It wasn't bad either because I watched both of them.
I have to check that out. I remember the name, but I don't remember the movie.
So the song was On the Dark Side. It was performed by John Cafferty.
Okay.
Great song, great song. On the Dark Side. Dark side, something now, nothing is real. Guys, you got to listen to it. So On the Dark Side. Okay, and then so while we were on the spot, this is what I do love about the show. We do kind of talk about topics in advance a little bit, but there's some unscripting to it, and I like that because then it's real. Like I said at the top of the hour, right? This is real. We were sitting here, and Swainbo and my boy were talking. And he goes, well, if you want to dig in on some white boys that had soul, well, you got to start talking about, some Mick Jagger, and you got to start talking about Robert Plant out of the 60s into the 70s, because those guys were grounded in deep, deep blues, Delta blues, soul, jazz, great music, okay? Later. But I'm talking about those out of the 60s, those English bands, those English guys that had no fear of going.
True.
Here's the thing.
Well, remember that their idols was Muddy Waters, all the cats out of Cadillac Records.
I'll give you here.
Muddy Waters,
you're gonna like this.
Howlin' Wolf.
You're gonna like this. Watch this. Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson.
Right.
Robert Johnson.
Those were the inspirations for a lot of those British bands.
Listen,
that came over
I
in the
saw a
60s.
little docudrama.
The Monkees.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll do the Monkees all night.
Yeah,
I'll do the Monkees all
those
night.
folks.
But Keith Richards did. Keith Richards, guitarist for the Rolling Stones. He went deep. He went and they dug around. They went to juke joints down in Louisiana, Alabama, and they got into like Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf. They got into all of them, and they wanted to get chord progression in its form today in rock owes a lot to Robert Johnson. He's the one that created some of the chord progressions that we still use today.
You got to check. There's a couple of festivals, blues festivals that are in England. Italy has a huge one during the summer in July. There's one that's in Germany. There's a couple of them that are in Germany where that's all they play the whole time that they're there. All of the bands and everybody's all doing these renditions of all these blues artists that came out of the Delta.
Correct.
It's incredible.
Robert Johnson, I mean, that's if there was any one. I mean, there are a lot of great musicians, right? But Robert Johnson did things on guitar that nobody had did ever before him, and that people are still doing now. We're talking about 5-6 decades later. He was a badass, all right? And so Keith Richards.
Can I have my one on that list?
I'm gonna get to you in a second.
Okay.
I
got one for you.
So
he's
the song
he's a
was
newer guy, though.
The song was so that's how it originated. We started talking about the influence of blues, soul, because soul to me isn't just like a eponymous one thing. Soul comes from blues. Soul comes from jazz out of the 20s and Harlem and a whole bunch of others, right? That gets into this period of the 60s. And then all these white folk from England, more so than everywhere else, by the way, the English invasion, were grounded in deep-rooted American music and a lot of it black music, right, out of the South. So Swainbo's like, well, you got to talk about Robert Plant, you got to talk about Mick Jagger and a whole bunch of others. I mean, the Doors. I mean, how do they sound? I was thinking Deep Souls, right? So he goes, okay, and then so immediately, it was a damn good panel, man. I was like, free fall. I had a left and right arm, and we were throwing chingazos left and right. Doing this stuff like intellectually, of course. Intellectually, I wouldn't whoop anybody's butt physically.
Yeah, you would.
Depends.
You the mafioso, Mexican mafioso.
Depends. Don't fiddle with my damn Constitution. I'm about to whoop somebody's ass right now. Don't fiddle with my damn Constitution. Yeah, that I'll fight for. I took an oath, and I'll still execute the oath. So anyway, Swainbo brought that up, and my boy to the right goes, "I can't quit you. I can't quit you, babe." Oh man, that one is deep.
Quit you. Who's that?
I can't. Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant.
Oh, okay.
I can't quit you. Oh man, it is like. It's one of the most soulful, bluesy songs of all of them. And by the way, Led Zeppelin has a lot of blues tinged songs.
They got a ton of them.
They have a ton because they were deep with that, right? But I Can't Quit You, Babe, on a Robert Plant vocal.
I got a week.
Camping
trip. This will be on the playlist.
You know what? You know what we should do? Maybe we should go to Italy or where you're talking about and do a SuperMex International special.
I got a buddy over there who lives there. Grew up in my neighborhood. Who's over there. He's got a bed and breakfast business.
Oh,
he's been trying to get me over there for about 10 years.
Well, look, KP's gonna make me all kinds of money doing this stuff, and we're gonna have to. You know what we'll do? Hey, we'll travel the world. We'll travel the world doing a SuperMex International.
And where he
all
is
over the joint,
kind of in the center. It would be the upper, kind of middle part of Italy before the boot. The boot, whatever, going up the bootleg.
Okay, so I did do Italy for a little bit. About halfway through my service, I did Milan. To the north. That's one of the bigger cities. He's in one of the smaller cities. Okay, it's more to the north and to the west, but I did not go south. I didn't get to Rome. I really, and that's, I got to.
In the upper part.
Yeah, but so I went.
He was over there playing basketball. He played basketball over there for probably about 15 years.
EuroLeague?
He was there, in the Italian league.
They're big on basketball. They are big on basketball.
He's fluent in Italian, has an Italian wife, and he comes over. At least once a year, and he's been trying to get me to come over there.
Does he go like this?
He does. He's 6'8", man.
Margaretti.
Hey, here's my guy. I want you to add on to that list.
Joe Palmisano. I do this one.
Is that cheese? Parmesan?
No, not.
I don't know any.
Not Parmigiano.
I know no
Italian. Joe is Palmisano. PALM, like palm.
Palmisano. Okay.
Palm. Aizano. He's one of my hardcores. my hardcore
apologize,
listeners.
I apologize.
Although maybe not as much on politics anymore.
I don't know any Italian.
We're deep on the culture because I don't know if I told you this, but I do have a chunk of me that's Italian on my mom's side. I got a chunk on Italian, a little bit Italian. So Joe Palmisano, we do this. I'll send him a GIF, a little comment, right? Margarete, and then I'll throw him another one, Jersey Shore.
Oh, okay.
doing this stuff from the Jersey Shore. Those guys, I mean, that stuff, like all kinds of wrong Italian, but it's Jersey Italians.
I know what you're talking about.
It's Jersey Italians, and I'm not talking about Tony Soprano. I'm talking about Jersey Italians. Okay, so that's I Can't Quit You, Babe, Led Zeppelin. We're getting there slowly. Man, this hour's going by quick. Go ahead, give me yours.
Billy Currington. Have you ever heard of him?
I have.
Country guy. Most people know him as country.
Yeah.
Got a chance to go see him at the Madeira Fair about 3 or 4 years ago.
I think I'm going to post these tonight.
He has all these little quirky little, like I'm pretty good at drinking beer, country boys roll, that kind of stuff. During his intermission, guess what he broke out with? Motown.
Okay.
That's what his intermission was him and the guys on the band.
Yeah.
They played all kind of different
staples.
That's what they did instrumental during the break, and then they went back to country after that. I'm like, dude, this and it was on point. And it was so funny because I was the only brother that was there, and during the country song, I'm like, everybody was kind of getting to it.
Really?
I like his songs, and all of a sudden when the intermission happened, when they're playing all the Motown songs and stuff, everybody's talking.
Like, quiet, I want to hear.
Yeah, but I was impressed with him. And the other person, he's not a blonde-haired brother, but another crossover artist who Jamie Foxx. I don't know if you've heard Jamie Foxx with Rascal Flatts, the country stuff that he's done, crossing over.
Yeah.
I always said if I had power to be, I would do a concert with Billy Currington and Jamie Foxx.
You do know we're going to do events, right?
People always talk about how are you going to make that work. They don't understand the levels and their abilities of those two.
They didn't even know how they're going to make Coachella work.
Well, I'm telling you.
And it worked.
Them two cats right there, that would be an awesome.
There is no limit.
Awesome.
So you don't know this, but I'm going to tell you now. So SuperMex International, ladies and gentlemen, just a heads up, we are going to do it's going to be the weekend of September, I want to say 15, 16, 16, 17. We're going to do a cultural fest, in essence. It's going to be music, it's going to be comedy, and it's going to be art. I don't know if I told you this. Okay, so you understand the concept.
You got all your people already?
Well, we're doing it now. We're getting it set up, and I got the place that I want to do. It's going to be on the west side of Fresno, by the way.
Okay.
And an open field. I'm doing the west side of Fresno. So music's not as difficult, meaning to put together.
Comedy's not difficult either.
And it isn't. Okay, and I got a young Mexican dude who's he's all over the comedy scene in the local and on a regional, like state. So he's going to help that. But here's the thing I'm going to do for the art. All right.
When you say art, you're talking about paintings?
Yes.
Okay.
Visual. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it, it's going to be a battle of the brush or a battle of the paint can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a handful of young artists from this area and the region, and I'm going to bring them in one location. They're all going to get a canvas.
That's a great idea.
Okay, they're all going to get a canvas.
That's a great idea.
They're all going to get, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So they're all going to get a canvas. They're all going to get material. Everybody gets the same thing.
And they get a time period?
They're going to get a time period, and they're going to get a theme that SuperMex chooses on the spot and go. And they have their window.
That's awesome.
No, it is. It is. Because
that is absolutely
here's the thing.
Awesome.
You do know that there are kids that are technically proficient in art in a variety of forms.
Yeah, I see it every day as I go to work. The size of these trains.
I try to tell you. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them that outlet, that forum, that vehicle to exercise and express their freedom of thought.
Okay, so let me add this on. I will work.
You know you're outdoing me with that damn red flower.
Don't worry about that. I
need one of those.
You got my brain working on now. So I will commit to this.
You want to help me?
I do.
Okay.
And here's one of the ways I'll help you. Whoever wins this, I will find a prominent location for that artwork
to distribute the winner.
To be displayed.
Okay, so we're right on. No,
and possibly
we're right.
purchased.
Okay, we're right on target. We're right on target because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to foster young art by giving them the vehicle, the method, the SuperMex International. The SuperMex International thought is to do a series, an ongoing series of artistic and intellectual competitions
City
and
Hall,
vehicles.
County supervisor, board.
But you do realize, okay, so before we go too far, I want a hard handle, and I'm going to be hard-headed about this. I want a hard handle on how we
That's fine.
manage this.
I got you.
Because I'm going to say it, because I don't want, you're going to like this, I don't want some damn politician coming in trying to jump in the mix and like, oh yeah, I'm part of that. Nope.
All the politician needs to do is be able to allow us to display this art in a prominent place for the kids to get the recognition. Or I shouldn't say kids, but whoever the artist is.
Correct.
To get the.
Because it could be a young person.
Could be.
I'm going to leave it open to teens and above. Teens and above. But it's, you understand, like, what I was going to say was like, there are people that are technically proficient. Say you have somebody that's 25 and you have somebody that's 15. The person that's 25, if all things are equal, they're probably a little further down their road in terms of their artistic
just the
technicality.
The technicality.
Okay, the technicality.
The refinement parts.
But when I throw that other curve in there and I say, this is how you're doing it in this medium, in this forum, and then I give you the thought and the theme on the spot.
Right.
Then the creative takes over.
Right.
And the creative can supersede the technical. That's what I want. That's how genius inspires.
Count me in. I'm on board on that.
That's how genius inspires. So that's going to, right now we're setting up
Can
for.
I sing?
Hey, do you sing?
Can I? No, but can I? Can I tell a joke?
Why not?
You gotta have somebody. Boo. They have to have no place to go but up from.
So how do you know what's good? Know what's not good first, right? No, it's not
Exactly.
good. So it's a work. You know, we're still. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, by the way, and I've been saying
great idea.
And even back to when I was a teacher. But I really like the others. I'm going to say it. Don't take people don't take it the wrong way, but the others are not that difficult to do. The concepts of them are easy. Okay. Payaso Fest, combat or Battle of the Bands, but I want a battle of the brush. Creative, technical, and fostering young people doing great work.
You can advertise the competition, Art Hop, every Thursday, the first Thursday of every month, down the Fulton Mall, over into the Tower District. So
you help me with that.
July, August, and you said it wouldn't be the first week of September, right?
No, it's probably gonna be second or third week.
So July, you got 3 more dates: July, August, and September. You'd have those 3 dates if you get some flyers together and stuff to be able to pass that information out.
So if you can help me on that end to where, help me take care of the people that are doing that, meaning the artists, the musicians, the et cetera. I need help making sure. The mechanics of all the other stuff's going to be enough, right? I mean, because I've got
a
to take
location already.
I do. There's a spot that I want. It's in Highway City on the west side.
Okay.
It's where I grew up. There's intense creativity there, but people don't know about it. I want to foster it. I want to like. It's like one of those things. Like there's a fountain. There's a spring down below that nobody knows about, and you hit it with the right pick, and then it just bubbles up. That's Highway City. You can quote me on that. That is an unappreciated. I'm from Highway City. Okay. There's incredible intellectual creativity there, and I'm going to do everything I can to foster it. So it doesn't have to be just people from Highway City.
Right.
But I don't, this is why I'm telling you, I want to make sure this is managed and controlled, not in a bad way. I want people taking care of people, taking care of kids, and I don't want political, and I don't want looking cool and good because I did this or I did that. But I want to do it from the base. I want the base.
But on the other side, the political element of it may be able to add into the exposure.
They could help.
Right.
They could help.
I got you.
Right.
But we got to be able.
No. I'm not saying.
We got to be able to use all of our resources to the best of our abilities.
It's usually when that isn't done properly. Well, here's the thing. Like for everything that I do, and I think you probably heard me say this a bunch of times, I want to secure the base.
Right.
Once the base is done, then it's hard to morph that into something else. Then it becomes more commercial. Then it becomes, this is street stuff. Okay, those are my streets. That's where I grew up. I want this street. And I don't want commercial, even though they're like, well, you're the guy in the coat and the tie. You're damn right I am. Yeah, I'm street tie.
It's just a uniform. That's
I'm street tie, homeboy. Mm-hmm. So I want it from its base, coming from a good place, that once it starts getting pulled in other directions, it won't get pulled apart. It'll snap right back. Do you understand the concept? Mm-hmm. You could pull it out because it's going to snap right back to base. That's what I want. But I've been planning on this for a So Maria on TV Musica, the other show that's on SuperMex Network, she's all down. She's ready to go because we may have a component that's all entirely in Spanish.
Should be.
Yeah. So because the thing is, like, Mexican America isn't just English; it's Spanish too, and some of us speak both. And in my world,
some of us wish we spoke both.
Well, that's it. Okay, if you're truly educated, you want to speak multiple languages.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Everywhere except for the United States.
I know. When I was in Europe, I had people that spoke better English than the people I was in
They
with.
actually learned English. You and I we didn't learn English.
I'll make googly eyes. I'll make googly eyes.
We learned.
I'll make googly eyes.
We didn't learn formal English.
So I was stationed in Germany. There were Germans that, on the average, they spoke better English than the Americans that were there.
They knew all the rules.
And I sat there and I'm like, they knew our they knew our Constitution. They knew our Constitution better than we did. What the hell's up with that?
Because they're actually, I mean, in other countries is that they're actually being taught that. We, on the other hand, weren't necessarily taught that. We learned language.
I'll say it.
Learn English through language more so than learning it.
I got a message from a young blood this weekend, over the weekend, through my page, through the forum, and he just said it, and he goes, Mister, they call me Mister if they're like old school Mexicans, because it's respect. It's respect. They never call me by my first name, ever, and they say Mr. or Mr. Martinez. That's what they call me. He goes, Mister, you used to tell us in class that, you know, because as a teacher, he used to tell us in class that we have disregarded our own history, meaning Americans, and we have taken for granted all the things that this country is. I think we could generally agree with that. That's for damn sure. And that's not a color thing. That's a stupid is colorblind. You know, ignorant is colorblind. Lack of history is colorblind. And so he pointed that out, that, you know, we're losing respect for all the good things we have. And it's funny because the two parties and ideologies like to pull that apart and saying, we're more American than you, which is fundamentally stupid, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's the basis why we need to have a third option.
Well, in another world it would be, right? You know, I'm not saying not to, but, you know, I could tell you this, if there was a way for me to run for something that it wouldn't be tied to anything like that, and I can just be gauged on just who I am, what I believe, that is good for all America, then I would do that. I would. You know, here nor there. We didn't get to, like, let's do a.
That's all right. This is not. There's not a timeline on this information. So
give me a quick. We're at the end of our time. Give me quick thoughts on the presidential debate. So
I can't wait.
Two races.
I can't wait for the debates.
Two races.
Right. Wednesday is day one. Thursday is day two. There's 10 candidates in each of the days. The only other front runners that are that's on day one is Elizabeth Warren. I think Cory Booker is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Cory
Booker's
Booker
the first night.
is on the first night also.
Better for him.
And then in the second one is where you've got Biden, you've got Bernie, you've got Kamala Harris, Buttigieg. So you've got four of the heavy hitters in that second day.
Yeah,
and it's interesting
it looked like heavier on the second night.
Yeah, but when you start listening, you know, kind of looking at the different things, you know, there's all kind of perspectives that are coming in. Some people are saying that Elizabeth Warren should kick butt in this because of the other people that's in there with her. Well, I think it's an opportunity for somebody, one of those not so, you know, known people to take advantage of that.
Right.
She's got everything to lose.
They almost have no choice, though. They have to.
But she's got everything to lose by being the front runner in that group.
You're correct. They're scaling, though. So after this first round of presidential debates, right, it's going to get harder and harder to make the cut because they're going to winnow the number down.
By July 1, there's no doubt in my mind that we will probably lose 10 of the candidates.
That many?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. There's some folks that I don't until I saw the picture.
You know which one didn't make the cut, right?
There's three that didn't make the cut.
Three didn't make the cut.
One of the guys from Colorado.
Steve Bullock.
That's the guy that's a former.
He's a governor. He's current governor. And he only got in the race late because his legislature only meets once a year and they do all their business and then they're finished. He didn't run until after he got his business taken care of. I do respect that. I've listened to him. He's a smart guy. And he's fairly middle of the road.
So
he's
who's
like
the other
straight.
Two that didn't make it?
All right, so him.
I don't remember.
I think Messam, he's a young brother from Florida. He's a mayor in a small town in Florida.
Yes.
His name's Messam, M-E-S-S-A-M. And then the one that does hurt me a little bit is Moulton.
Oh yeah, that's
he's
the guy,
in Boston.
Right.
And I brought him up to you. He's the only candidate in any party that is a 4-term combat vet, and he can't even get a look and a listen. I was a little disappointed. I do get it that, you know, I'm going to say this out to those of you guys out there in America. You guys love veterans. You love people that serve. But when they're staring you in the face, they don't get as much love. So I'm a little disappointed. I'm
interested to see, you know, when you have so many people, they're projecting that they're going to have anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes of actual time to be able to do something.
There's just not enough time.
There's not enough time. So who's going to take advantage of that?
Here's the, you know what?
Everybody is saying that Buttigieg is going to do well in this format.
I'm going to tell you why. Because he can't not do well.
Right.
This is what I'll say about that little dude. Whether you like his policies or not, whether you like his sexual orientation or not. Let's just put it all on the table. He's smart, and he's beyond well-spoken. This kid can communicate a message. So in a shortened, abbreviated time where everybody, because this is what I do think is a mistake, in my view, is that you have a set amount of time, right? And it's not going to be a lot because you got a lot of people on the stage. Everybody's going to be trying to fight for that one moment. My thing is take your time and just be good, articulate your point, move out. Because if you're sitting there waiting for the fastball that's right over the plate to come, you may not get it. And what'll end up happening is you're going to look like a fool waiting for that fastball.
So think about it. With that mindset, if you don't get the fastball and you see a fastball, who's going to be the person to jump out there?
They're going to be jumping all over each other to get to the damn fastball.
So how is that going to play out? Is it going to look like stumbling, bumbling, or is it going to look like this person was, they did a good job and was able to get themselves out in front? So it's going to be interesting. But they're saying also in day 2 that, okay, so day 1, Elizabeth Warren has more to lose than anyone in there has to gain. And in the second days, they don't, Bernie kind of is in, they said if he just stays solid.
Bernie's bleeding.
If he stays solid, he'll be good. The one that they're really concerned about is Uncle Joe. Because Uncle
for
Joe
obvious reasons.
is not familiar with this type of format. He's still a little bit old school and learning.
Yeah.
And so he's going to want to be that domineering personality. And he's not going to be able to do that.
I think it's safe to say that coming out of this, no matter what, it doesn't even matter what Joe Biden does. I think no matter what, he'll probably dip a little bit after
He's already dipping.
Well, and that's my point, is that once you're that high, because he was pretty high, you cannot go any further than that. There's too many in the race.
Yeah, the pack, so he's falling, and it's not that the pack necessarily is catching up to him. He's falling back to the pack.
I would say he's falling back to reality because that was not sustainable. His numbers when he first came out, he had a good rollout. That's a fact, okay? But his numbers could not have sustained. They have to eventually bleed back a little
Warren bit. And Buttigieg is the one who's picking up the most traction right now. And then Elizabeth Warren with her policies.
Well, actually, she's picking up more than even Buttigieg, by the way. Because if you look at numbers nationally and then in the battleground, not the battleground, but like Iowa, New Hampshire, the early front-running polls.
What was the one that we talked about last week? That was the Iowa poll.
The Iowa poll.
Yeah. That was, and then Texas just put out one also that was interesting for a little bit different reason. But the Iowa poll, Uncle Joe was falling back. Bernie was still second, had made a point gain or 2-point gains. Elizabeth Warren had picked up a couple points. But Buttigieg, I thought he had picked up like 4 or 5 points, if I'm not mistaken.
He has picked up again.
He's still in 4.
He went up, then he came back a little bit, then he's up again.
Yeah. And then did you see the Texas poll that they did? This is, I don't remember what the source is, but it's a right.
There was a Fox News poll.
No, that's the newest one. This one was from last week. Texas, where they were comparing our current president up against the front runners.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Interesting.
This is the one thing I will say about, like generically about the entire process so far on the Democratic presidential side. Because you have such a plethora of candidates and ideas and philosophies and on a continuum, left, right. I mean, you've got right of center Democrats and you've got far left Democrats. It's everything, and I do like that. I do. What I really like is the fact that they're talking about issue and policy, and they're coming up with ideas.
They're not hacking each
correct.
other up. They're not.
Well, at least not yet. That's one.
I don't foresee that coming.
They'll have to. I'm going to tell you why. I'll tell you why. So they're going to have to do it eventually.
Are they going to attack each other? You think it's going to be personal attacks, or is it going to be a difference about a policy?
Not dirty personal. We won't see that on the
so
Dem
we're not going
side.
to talk about each other's hands and hair color
and I tell you what, and if they do that, then I'll get pissed off if they do that.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it.
I just
if they
don't
get
see
personal,
that coming.
If they get personal, then you're turning me off.
So you're saying that we're going to have, Bernie, you said that you want to have free college tuition for everyone. How are you going to pay for that?
Correct. Which, by the way,
the way that you say you're going to pay for it is not going to happen.
Correct. Okay, and you're right, and I'm entirely comfortable and good with hacking someone to bits because their policy may cost the American people too much money.
Agreed.
I'm entirely okay with that.
On the same page.
And I think that should be the case. But I will say that I've been astounded at the quantity and quality of the ideas. Now, not all within one person.
You know who the ones I really like is Yang.
Yang's a smart guy.
I got on his website and I've been getting posts from him. He's got some pretty
he's a smart kid. So I think we'll generically agree that
he's not getting traction. But
let's
he may wind up in somebody's cabinet.
Let's generically agree that the big D word, not Democrat, but the diversity of the field.
Correct.
Not just in color or background or geography, because it's geographically crazy as hell too, right? But I will say this, the diversity in thought I think is good. I think is good. Not just for the damn Democratic Party. I think it's good for the country. Because now, here's the thing, and I'll throw this as a little slide button to my friends that are more to the right or Republican. I have average American Republicans right now talking about health care and what's best or not. They don't like Obamacare because they put a title on it that says Obama. They don't like it because it's Obama. But the fact is that people need health care, regular folk.
They love the Affordable Care Act, though.
Correct. Okay, so what I'm going to say is that people, regular folk in America, because of rising costs in health care, can't get by now without some type of health care. I'm going to say it. It wasn't Republicans that put that forward. It was Democrats back then. I always looked at it this way. Democrats push the boundary, the envelope. Republicans pull it back. Now, that doesn't always mean bad, by the way, because in a continuum, and I was going to do this the other night, on a continuum of liberal and conservative, hard liberal only is not good. Hard conservative only is not good. A balance of the two, somewhere in the center, where you have that meshing and that mingling in a good, healthy way for everybody, is actually what you want. But it is Democrats, at least to this point, that put forward health care, that put forward these things that are actually affecting all of middle America. Their ideas right now, we may not like some of them or some of the candidates, but the fact that they're having substantive conversation and discussion about issue and policy, because I don't want to hear somebody talking about their damn hand size. I don't give a damn about your hand size. I don't. And I'm going to say it. If Democrats go that road, then I'm tuning you out.
Yeah, that's going to be ugly.
Not only am I tuning you out, but whoever is the first Democrat that cast that stone, homeboy, get back in your glass house, because you're done for me. And I mean it. You know how I am.
But
I'll say it.
I really cannot see there being more than 10 candidates by the end of July.
I would hope so. I think because we need to get down to business.
I can't. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not going to be easy.
One of the things I did find out when we talked.
Go ahead. Last thought.
We talked about it last week, is about how California's primary is changing to March, first Tuesday in March. I found out also that it's 19 states and 2 territories that also vote in March. So it's like 30.
In essence, that's the new Super Tuesday.
Yeah, 38% of the electorate, the eligible voters will vote in the month of March.
Wow.
Yeah, so March
then we'll get
going to be huge.
We'll get a clearer picture earlier than we've ever had before.
Yeah, big time.
I will say this. I'm optimistic because I do watch a lot, and I do see there's some candidates I don't like. There's some candidates I do, but I love the diversity of ideas. And bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying, you got to love every idea. No. When you have a full plate and a smorgasbord of ideas, what do you get to do, brother?
Pick and choose.
You get to pick and choose what you want, and you know what that means? That means it's better for the American people. You have all these good ideas, some bad, some good. Watch this. It's really simple. Remove the bad, take the good. When I go to a smorgasbord, I ain't sitting over there fiddling with the damn, the desserts and the salad. I'm going for the meat and potatoes. That's what I'm going for.
You ain't messing with the eggplant, huh? And asparagus.
I ain't trying to do. I can get vegetables at home, homeboy. But if I go to a smorgasbord, I want some chicken. I want some meatloaf. I want some mashed potatoes. I want the. That's what I'm feeling. All right, we're done for the night. Thank you as usual.
Pleasure.
My local intellect incubator for what goes on from local to state, I think, because that's my blind spot.
Yeah, we do got to talk about this next week, though.
We will definitely get to that next. What's it called?
This is the Citizens Redistricting Commission, which is taking applications currently right now. They'll take applications through August, and so I'll talk a little bit more about this next week.
Okay. Let's get to it.
It's something else we got to, along with the primary change, the Voters' Choice Act, how we're voting in the county, and then with a little bit we talked about with the primary change, and also the census, the things that are coming up with the census.
Yeah, there's a lot to do with the census, obviously.
Yeah. Well, this is directly connected to the outcomes from the census.
Okay. So, Thank you as usual.
All right. My pleasure.
Thank you guys. Much appreciation and love. We'll be back on Wednesday. I think I'm going to do something, a little slide ball curve for you, because that's going to be the debates. I don't even know if I want to do a political show on the Wednesday. I'm going to do something entirely different. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be something you don't expect or don't see. And it's probably, it's going to be, some of you may appreciate it, but it's going to be a different aspect of who I am, what I am, because as I said at the top of the hour, politics by itself was never meant to be this. Live, eat, sleep, love, breathe, do, and then make your decisions politically, and you're probably going to make better decisions. By the way, the reason we don't like politicians, the way they do things, is because that's all they think about. That's all they do. They don't think like us. They don't think like you and I. Once you get out of that box, it's really, really hard to get back in and be just a regular person anymore. So I'm going to throw you for a curve on the Wednesday, and you're going to really, really like it. It's going to be fun. Fun is good, right? Okay, number love for you. Thank you guys for being here. SuperMex Nation is out.